Greetings, sir and sirettes, and welcome back to Stellaris with me, Lathrix, and of course, welcome to the next video in the Necroids DLC. Today, we are going to be testing out briefly the Death Cult, the other main new addition in the Necroids DLC, which I didn't get to test out in the previous video. Obviously, there's loads of things added, but this is the one I didn't get to pick, and is also the contender for the next full playthrough. In fact, after this video is out, probably 10 or 20 minutes afterwards, there will be a poll over in the community tab to decide which of the new civics, which of the new ways of playing is going to be the full playthrough. The Death Cult, as we're showing off today, or the Necrophages, as we tested out in the previous video. So what exactly then is the Death Cult? The Death Cult is explained as so. This society's religion is built around periodic ritual sacrifice. Willing initiates devote themselves to a decade of study before meeting an end whose effects ripple throughout their culture. Essentially, what it allows is for the specialist jobs of the Death Priests and the regular worker jobs of the Mortal Initiates when you build the Sacrificial temples. These Mortal Initiates may be sacrificed at a cost of influence to give different bonuses to the rest of the Empire. And essentially, after the very first Mortal Initiate is sacrificed, every Mortal Initiate has a chance of increasing the bonus which each of the different sacrifices give. And these sacrifices will, in fact, as you can imagine, be killed. Populations are power in this game, and this takes it to a whole new level. These bonuses are things like extra unity, extra happiness, which can get up to plus 60%, and extra minerals and energy, I think 30% of both, and all of them come with a passive population growth increase as well, which is always at 5% and can't be increased. You sacrifice your population for a serious boost. Now, in the early game, I don't think this is going to be all that relevant. You need all of your population to keep everything running, but in the late game, when you have thousands of population, sacrificing 10, 20, even 30, for a 30% bonus for 5 years to minerals and energy, well, that's kind of crazily powerful. And because we are an oligarchy, our edicts, which or also the sacrifice edicts, are actually 20% cheaper. That's why we've gone for an oligarchy, and so we are a grim council. Although I was so tempted just to go with this. If I go there, the Mortal Empire, which just sounds really cool as well. But nope, we're gonna stick with the grim council. In fact, we're not even gonna be that evil. We're gonna be pretty nice. Remember, these are willing initiates. This is just part of our culture, they know what's going to happen, and considering what world they're from, it all actually makes quite a lot of sense. Well, at least to them. Along with Death Cult, we are going with the Memorialists. The Memorialists have also been added in the Necroids DLC, and in my opinion is one of the strongest civics in the game, at least from the few tests I've actually managed to do in my limited time. The Memorialists add the Sanctuary of Repose. These sanctuaries act as the normal monuments, but they also increase the stability of the planet by 5% per building. When you upgrade them, you also upgrade the stability percentage, which is kind of crazy, because after 50% stability, each 5% stability after that is increasing all resources on the planet by 3%. If you can get a 100% stability planet, you are getting plus 30% to all resources gained. And if you're on a ring world, it's very easy to have the extra buildings, since most jobs come from the ring world districts themselves. So if you really wanted to be powerful, Memorialists on a ring world start, that would be insane. Now, there is a secondary version of the Death Cult, which is the Corporate Death Cult. I believe it's pretty much the same, except the sacrifices are slightly different. I believe you get a trade value one rather than energy or minerals. I might be wrong there, but it's close enough that we're just going to stick with the regular Empire version. We are regular Spiritualist, regular Egalitarian, and regular Xenophile. The whole point of this Empire is that they are on a planet which was doomed by either the previous version of themselves or a whole other species. Their greed, their lust for power led to the world being utterly destroyed. And only one thing became very, very apparent. All are equal in death. Be you rich or poor, the Reaper is here for you. The bell tolls eventually for all of us, and that is the truth in which this empire bears. That's why they are egalitarian. Now, originally I wanted to go fanatic egalitarian, but then we'd have to go democratic rather than oligarchic, and that doesn't even have a unique name, so we're going with this instead. I was going to go shared burdens or something more insane like that. Anyway, let's continue. I'm waffling too much. We're only focusing on the Death Cult, though it will be a while before we get to see it in full action. So, a post-apocalyptic start, and oh, before I forget, there's a couple of things I completely forgot to mention in the previous video where we tested out the necrophages. There is, in fact, a new machine, if I can find it. Yep, there we go, the new machine portrait, which looks honestly terrifying. I think is my third favourite, or perhaps fourth favourite. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, I think it's my fourth favourite out of all of them, though it depends on what day you ask me about that. Let's go back to our usual selves, though, with their lovely mutated arms, perhaps after the last nuclear winter. That's kind of just happened. Originally, they just looked like humans, but now, look at this. Who knows what's underneath that robe? On top of the new portrait, there is also a new city type. In city appearance, you can see here there is the Necroid city, which I completely forgot to bring up last time, since I normally just stick with Mammalian, because honestly, that's just what I prefer. Over almost all of them, I just like the standard, so I never, ever change it, and I completely forgot. Yep, the Necroid city is available. So with that, let's get going. I'll probably be skipping a lot of the gameplay, because it's going to take a long time before the Death Cult really takes effect. Though I will be building at least one sacrificial temple to show off the Death Priests, because they are slightly different to normal priests. Okay, so here we are. I have already built then the first of the Death Temples. Sorry, the Sacrificial Temples. A revered site in which solemn preachers and dedicated pupils pray and work towards each prosperous yet bloody cycle. This gives us one Death Priest job, one Mortal Initiate job, and gives us plus 5% to Spiritualist Ethics Attraction on the world it's placed. So, instantly you may notice you only get one Death Priest, whereas a normal temple will give you 2 priests. Now, thankfully, the Death Priests do give double the unity of a single priest, so you are still getting the same unity level, but then you're only getting 2 society, which is the same as 1 priest, and 5 amenities. Once again, 1 priest. Apparently, they care less about the masses and more about the whole, you know, death thing. Though you also create a single Mortal Initiate, which provides 1 society research, and honestly, is a pretty awful job. I tend to have them not active until I need to start sacrifices, though please bear in mind, once you have a sacrifice active, you need to have at least 1 Mortal Initiate somewhere. If you remove all Mortal Initiates, those edicts vanish, and the edicts need to be there to at least have the base bonus. So if we take a look, let's say, at Harmony, because that's easier to look at, lasts for 5 years and 6 months, kills all Mortal Initiates, and gives up to 50% happiness for the Initiates which have been sacrificed. That's the random element, but then it will always give you 10% happiness and 5% population growth speed. If you make these vanish, that guaranteed 10% happiness and 5% population growth speed will vanish. Although I have noticed there's a bit of a weird trick that if you do get the edicts to vanish and then bring them back, you can instantly then activate another sacrifice, whereas normally it will say you cannot activate these while the others are still active. So there is a bit of weirdness to be had there, but ultimately, you want to keep your initiates around after you've made the first sacrifice. But for now, we're just going to leave it until we have more of them, so we can hopefully get more of the extra bonus. So here we are, energy and mineral output, extra happiness, and extra unity. Not so great now, but in the late game, fantastic. So for now, the Mortal Initiate, don't worry, you can go back to being a technician. It is also worth mentioning at the time of recording this, right now it does seem like the Death Priests might be a little bit bugged. They are meant to consume consumer goods, at least that's what the official Twitter for Stellaris seemed to think after I brought it up, and yet, they're simply not. The only consumer goods they're taking here is the normal consumer goods for them just surviving. It's the decent conditions there, 0.5 for being a specialist. Simple as that. So, right now they are a little bit more powerful than they should be because they're just so cheap. I've also built our first Sanctuary of Repose. As you can see, it's providing society, research, and unity, whilst also increasing the stability of the planet. Currently, we are at 64%, which gives us 8.4% extra resources from everything, in addition to 8% additional trade value. If we can get that all the way to 100, that will be 30% increased resources from everything. And it doesn't take too long to get it there, especially once we start making sacrifices for happiness. So far, a pretty good start, nothing really to mention. Like I say, I am going to be cutting out most of this, unlike our usual tests, because it is going to be a while until the sacrifices really become a big part of this game. But right now we have one set of neighbours who absolutely adore us over here, the Trading Coalition, and then our other neighbours are just a fallen empire. So we're pretty much ignoring that. Just a really nice, very, very simple start. kind of already regretting having a sacrificial temple, honestly. They're just not all that good. I mean, it's good for amenities, but only kind of, because you only get one of the jobs. Later on, super powerful. Right now, I don't really think there's a place for them. I could be wrong, though. Again, this is my first real test with them, and I will try to make it work. Just trying to think of how I'm going to make the sacrifices. Things have continued to go well, and I have found some willing participants for our next sacrifice. In fact, our first sacrifice. I've just conquered this land over here, and I am building temple after temple after temple after temple after temple. The entire world will be covered in sacrificial temples. The locals will fuel our empire willingly, at least according to the tooltips. And I believe them. I believe the tooltips. Why would a tooltip lie to us? It's not like we just invaded their planet and instantly have started building temples to our profane gods. That would be weird. It is time for our very first sacrifice. We have uplifted this primitive civilization, gave them culture, gave them power. They are full citizens. They are able to go to any of our worlds, to take any of our jobs, and all we ask of them is one simple thing: for them to partake in our culture. We are not asking them to do anything we do not ask of our own people. Today, we sacrifice for the harmony of our empire. We already have 3 different species, we could easily have more, and we welcome them all in open arms. Death comes for all. Memento Mori, sacrifice harmony. Excited murmurings ripple over the bearers of truth. Pilgrims await at their chosen places of worship, and excitement quite at odds with any physical weariness that they may have endured. Our society's rituals have been observed and invested in the newly emerged mortal initiates, whose silent procession was met with polite expressions of gratitude. The principal death priest at Salvation led a vigorous sermon calling for all the faithful to seize the joy in every moment. As the climactic moment came, each mortal initiate proceeded to the sacrificial chamber under rapturous applause. Each has met their end now, leaving a legacy in benevolent study. And we got the bare minimum. Oh, come on, guys, you weren't even trying. So, there's the randomness of it. So we still have the base 10%. That's not this. This is what we got extra, a 10%. And that's it. For all who we sacrificed, we still only got the extra 10%, as you can see here. But if I go over to one of my populations, look at their happiness. There we go, we have sacrifice harmony and additional sacrifice harmony. So sadly, the sacrifice was not all that good. Only a few of the initiates really gave their heart and soul to it, but still, some of them did. So plus 20% happiness to all of our populations now for a while, which has increased the stability on pretty much all of our planets for a while as well. So it's still good, but I would have liked to see a bit more. Sacrifices are something which must be continually renewed in order to prove our faith in what we believe in. And so, once more, we sacrifice from this planet, and from the 5 we had, this time we actually got 20% increase. So more of them were faithful this time. They understand the necessity of our sacrifice so that our empire may flourish. Also, look at that flag up there and this flag in the corner. It's kind of lighting up the void with our lovely chaos star there. So now everyone should get a plus 30% to their happiness overall. Yep, plus 20% from the additional sacrifice, and then 10% from the regular sacrifice, and there's plus 5% from the sacrifice in terms of our population growth as well, which is actually pretty nice over so many planets. It's not enough to really make up for how many we've just removed from the mortal plane, but, you know, it's nice, nonetheless. Also, I have sold so many relics, because thankfully we have this, and I've been clearing all the relics, so our economy right now, once again, is based on things from the past, which makes sense considering that's what we memorialize. Our sacrificial temples are being upgraded into grim hollow temples. Technological enhancements to this consecrated building allow for more rigorous study, and a more tangible sense of devotion to causes beyond its mutable walls. Basically, loads more death priests. loads more initiates for the next sacrifice. They learn so quickly, though I do need to start feeding this world's population soon. They're weirdly running out. So I'm now researching the tech for the ability to have an additional civic slot. And yeah, I think I really do stand by the fact that I don't think the Death Cult is a very good early game civic, but later on it's very powerful, because now is when I would be considering realistically doing the sacrifices. I don't think I would stack them all up on one world, though. That just makes things difficult. I think having one hollow temple on each planet or something would probably make more sense. Just, you know, just skim the top off of every planet. Each planet sacrifices a few. Once again, fairness, equality, sacrifice potatoes, all well and good. Rather than having sacrifice world, the world of, you know, sacrifices. Where currently almost everyone is either a mortal initiate or a death priest. That's basically all you can be there. That amount of unity is too perfect. 777, yeah, we have... honestly, we have really rushed unity. Lots of temples and loads of the memorial buildings. We now have meritocracy, giving us plus 10% specialist output, which is honestly really nice. And now I'm going to ruin that unity. Sacrifice, togetherness, up to 35% unity. 24%, we got very close. Very, very close there. So well done, everyone. You all really tried. So in the month, that should update. There we are. We are now on 871. Since this affects the base unity, what you're seeing there is the unity after the other minor... Just a random note, not really anything to do with the Empire we're currently playing, but if you have these holy worlds from the... Spiritualist Empire in your territory, and you yourself are playing a Spiritualist, then maybe consider going with Consecrated Worlds, just because they have the guaranteed maximum of actually being a holy world, and it also pleases the Fallen Empire. So this is where we're going to end. We have the final sacrifice of plus 40% happiness. Now, I know I didn't really go into the other sacrifices, but I think you get the point. They all provide some serious bonuses for the Empire. I would have been more aggressive and done a lot more things if this was a full playthrough, which I had intended to continue from here, so don't worry, although this is quite a subdued little test here, I will be a lot more active in the full playthrough. It's also a matter of I didn't really have much time today, as I've been posting in the pinned comments and everything. Lately, I have been going through a lot of stuff in real life. I may have to move apartment soon, which I really didn't want to do, especially considering everything going on at the moment. It's currently locked down where I live, and, well, I might have to try and find a new place to live. Fantastic. There's all sorts of other issues I don't want to get into. Basically, very little time. This is the first time I've been able to sit down and record now in 3 days, and it is slowly driving me mad. I love to record, I love making videos, I love interacting with you all, and this is driving me mad. So with that, and on a bit of a sad note there, don't worry, by the way, I'm absolutely fine. Things could be a lot worse, and I've definitely gone through worse. But there we are, the final sacrifice was made, which means now we have plus 40% happiness to all of our people. How are some of you not 100%? Who? You there. What are you specifically? Oh, are you in a... Yeah, you have a faction which is really unhappy right now since you are an authoritarian. Okay, well, for the most part, it's about 100%, so our stability on all of our planets now has just gone through the roof, which means all of our resources now are extremely benefiting from this, with loads of extra stability. Okay, I just went back in the save. I've decided let's have a quick test then with the other sacrifices. So first of all, we have togetherness. There is a maximum that... Oh, wow, got so unlucky there. So that's really showing the luck element. We can get all the way to plus 35% with the additional sacrifices. That did not go well at all. Yeah. So in comparison with Harmony, essentially you can have 10, 20, 30, 40, or 50. It's very difficult to get the maximum, and, well, I am sacrificing so many initiates at this rate. I think like 20 initiates are being sacrificed, and yeah, that's not great. I think this is like the third one, so this is equivalent to getting 30% happiness. So it's not terrible, but for how many we sacrificed, not great either. Let's just allow the month to tick over so we can see the unity. There we go, almost 1,000 unity. That's not bad at this stage at all. Though I have done a lot better, which is kind of weird, considering I thought this would be a really powerful unity empire. Okay, I had to wait a little bit longer there for this one, but let's try out Bounty. Up to a maximum of 30% and 18%, so once again, not the best luck there. So that's plus 18 in addition to the regular plus 5 you get by default, and wow. Yeah, that was really nice. And of course, just like the other two, you get the plus 5% population growth speed by default. Each of these lasts 5 years, though I do believe that when you start doing the repeatable tech and you get the edicts lasting longer, that also affects these, which makes it even more powerful in late game. Even if it doesn't affect them, it's still definitely very powerful in late game. 20 populations is nothing when you have thousands. So with all that really just out of the blue rant there out of the way, I really do hope you've enjoyed today's video. I have had a blast recording it and I can't wait to do the full playthrough, either with this empire or with the Necrophage. Now, I am also very open to changes for either of these empires. For instance, with the Necrophage, we could go with Fanatic Purifiers, which enable you to, I believe, instantly convert populations that you grab. Essentially, you have a specific purge type in which you instantly kill them and instantly convert them a lot more aggressively, although I do also like just the standard Necrophage. I think this empire is incredibly powerful, and there are many, many ways to play the Death Cult. This is just a more friendly and easy way, honestly. I think this is an empire which is quite easy to play. It gets along with most other empires. It's very difficult to hate this empire, and you just bring balance to all through death. So with that, thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed today's video, then of course, likes, favourites, shares, comments, all that good stuff helps out me, helps out the channel, and most importantly, shows that Stellaris is a series you wish to see continued in the future. In the next episode, it will most likely be the full playthrough, and once again, there will be a poll in the community tab, and there'll probably be a little thing to do with that in the comment section as well. Thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely day, do take care, and until next time, goodbye.